I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb. It's on Do Not Disturb.
I'm putting my phone on Disturb.
You're putting your phone on New Joker. Disturb.
Ugh.
What a gross.
That's literally the fucking tattoo on his forehead.
Yeah, I'm
Disturbed.
putting my phone on Disturbed tattoo.
Yeah.
It's a mode that phones have.
I'm putting
Disturbed
my
tattoo.
phone on Do Not Disturb Me with any more tweets about the Joker.
Oh! Why so serious, Chris?
That's the old Joker that was good.
Yeah.
Nick, are you not showing up or are you just not saying anything?
I'm just not saying.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
There it is.
Classic Nick Brecken. Go.
It's April 29th, 2015.
This is Idle Thumbs 208. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Danielle Riendo.
And I'm Jake Rodkin.
Hooray.
Welcome back, Nick.
Hey, thanks.
Welcome, Nick.
It's been like a while.
A couple weeks.
How that for sense? It's been like a while.
Yeah.
How long's it been? 3 months? What you up to? Still doing the thing? Sorry, whenever I've got to do question answers itself.
Yeah.
Catch up exposition with you.
Yeah. And then the final
Still
question.
married? How long's it been? 3 years?
You playing the games?
I can't answer that one for you in the form of a question to hide my exposition.
I didn't.
Oh man!
Oh.
So
No, I did
you're
one,
just
yes.
doing like cut in a movie or new character introduced.
Yeah, it's like
question?
shitty
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
pilot where
Right.
two cops who've been old friends are like, "How long you been on the force? Still 20 years going, right? How's your wife
20
Janelle
years.
or whatever?" Like,
Who's your wife, Janelle?
Nick Brecken.
yeah, where just you got
Officer Brecken.
you got to just ask everyone a question that you then immediately answer so that it's not a character just saying,
Right.
"I've been on the force with you 20 years.
Yep.
How's that boss? Still a hard ass? Oh,
Yeah.
I guess their boss is a hard ass."
Remember that time when we were rookies and that thing happened?
Yeah. Well, then that's just the person who's the killer.
Usually.
Still
Yes.
plagued by that case.
Still keeping awake at night. Speaking of bad police procedurally
Okay,
stuff,
let's
not
go.
bad police. That is a totally different topic. I just watched Daredevil, the Netflix series,
Okay.
Marvel series.
Man, I thought you were jumping into a game.
I did too.
I could.
Like,
I can
speaking
talk
of that,
about
I've
one
been
of the
getting back
7
into
games I
Police
played.
Quest.
Yeah.
Have you guys
SWAT
played this
2.
Police Quest? My goodness, what a game!
Those games were impossible.
They were. A
I never played
impossible.
Police Quest.
I only played one of them, and you had to like, use proper like protocol if you drew your weapon and stuff,
It's
and
true.
if you didn't, you would lose. It was hard.
I wish they would make.
I mean, it's
games
a
like
cool
that now.
idea, but
Yeah.
I think like that game genre might be the wrong format for it.
True. I wish
The
that was
events of that classic.
true in Battlefield Hardline, the game about cops.
Man,
being
what a weird thing
jerks.
that is to exist
Oh,
now.
oh, God, yes.
What a strange moment.
Yeah, I
for
haven't
that.
played it, so I can't really talk about it.
I mean, I haven't either. But
yeah.
what was there actually a game that you were thinking about?
I mean, yeah, there's several. I've played like 7
Oh, I mean, when you
games.
mentioned Daredevil.
But I was mentioning Daredevil just
Oh.
out of like kind of shitty schlocky writing.
Oh, you're right. I think that the last thing that I watched that had a bunch of trash exposition was the first
Was
20 minutes of the
Daredevil.
Daredevil pilot,
Yeah.
where he catches up with his friend, and they're like, just saying,
Yeah.
I haven't always been your friend, but I've been this. Like, okay, you're
20
just
years,
saying
yep.
your relationship.
There's a lot of that in that show, which I kind of like despite the bad writing.
The show, not the exposition.
The show, not
Okay.
the exposition. Yes, exactly. It kind of does some interesting things in terms of like, hey, he is a blind superhero.
Isn't that already just
Somebody-
Daredevil inherently? though?
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, the series,
They made him a clown this time.
they made him a blind
They
clown.
gave him a Disturbed tattoo on his forehead.
Exactly. Hey, they dyed his hair. Now he's the only green-haired superhero you'll ever see.
Until he encounters the cast of Doug.
There you go.
Wow.
I would watch that.
What? Everyone in that show has the weirdest hair and skin color.
Are you making reference to the fact that he also had a fictional superhero like alter ego?
Oh,
in
my
mind?
God. Yeah, right.
It was a
Until he
Quailman
gets
reference.
Quailman.
Was that what?
Oh my god!
No.
Daredevil meets Quailman.
That's also an upcoming Netflix original series.
I would
Yeah, they're
watch.
making Inspector
Daredevil
Gadget,
versus
so
Quailman.
they just have to finish
They're making
picking
a
up
terrible
the rest
Inspector
of the
Gadget.
pieces of my childhood.
I would watch the crap out of it.
Now is someone's chance to do an amazing licensed Inspector Gadget game.
True.
What I was going to say about Daredevil was that I actually think it could make a really cool game. In
I bet there
an
is a-
interesting way. I don't know. I
I
don't
bet there's
know
a
of any
bad
game
one
right now.
But there's
Probably
a bad one for like the PS2.
not that I've played it.
I think there was a movie tie-in game.
Oh,
of
for the Ben
Daredevil.
Affleck Daredevil,
sure.
probably. I just think it would be cool to have a game that was half, Ace Attorney style sort of courtroom drama sort of thing, and half Daredevil, like sound only game, Daredevil fighting, bad guys. I just think that would be cool. That's all I could think about the whole time I was watching the series that I kind of liked, even though I thought the writing was terrible.
Oh, I guess the game was canceled. This game was
okay.
the Daredevil game was canceled before it came out. Daredevil is
They pulled
in.
the plug. They knew.
He's in one of the Lego
Daredevil.
games, unsurprisingly.
Everyone's
Oh,
in a
of
Lego
course.
game.
Yeah.
I am.
Chris, you're in a Lego game. That's not true. But Chris, you are in like 50 other games
Oh, true.
Sure
We
are.
all are at this point.
as a result of Wizard Jam. So, I plugged Wizard Jam the last 2 weeks, but now I don't have to plug it because Wizard Jam is done, and there are like over 30 games. I almost said there are over 34 games, which is like a press release for...
There are
That's
35
the pirated
35,
Wizard
yeah.
Jam, like NES.
Oh, no.
10 unit in the mall. That you
Here's the
find.
thing about that.
Over 34 games.
Here's the thing about that, Nick. There is a Wizard Jam game that is supposed to be a pirate cart of 6 other Wizard
It
Jams.
has
Yes.
over.
Oh my
It
God.
has over 5.
It has over 5 games. It has,
see that one. That's amazing.
It has 6 games.
Oh, that's really good.
It might be possibly one of the most exciting of all the games as well, because each one of those games,
Man,
I played it a little bit, is like a really kind of self-contained little both
introduction.
joke and awesome little tiny game
Yeah,
in
really
itself.
well made.
It's called
Really
Introduction
well
to
done.
Video Games. But if you go to
Was that also an episode title?
Introduction to Video Games, Idle Thumbs 101 was Introduction to Video Games.
I didn't remember that. We're all laughing at our own
So
joke.
good.
If you go to itch.io/jam/wizard-jam,
Okay.
it's an annoying URL. There's a bunch of stuff, but I mean, I was following a few games that I was really excited about over the course of the jam, but now just going to that itch.io/jam/wizard-jam page and seeing all of the submitted games just like in a huge grid,
Yeah.
it's fucking formidable. It's an
It's
awesome thing to just
incredible,
scroll
yeah.
through and go, oh man, people just like, there's a bunch of good,
Oh, yeah.
weird stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, people did a really good job. I just to shout out the person's name, Ate, I think, or Ete, made that. Introduction to Video Games,
Yeah.
ATTE. So however
Yep.
that's pronounced.
And also thanks to Dinosaurs from our forums
Oh,
for
yeah.
putting it on. Dinosaurs also made Robot News, which is it looks kind of like an isometric Paperboy situation where a big dog delivers papers to people.
So good.
Anyway, you should go look at those. If we're smart, we'll actually put together a stream of them, but we can't commit to that yet. Anyway, also, if you want to see a bunch of weird renditions of us, we appear, we feature in 4 or 5 of these games.
It's really kind of amazing. Nobody's ever made a sprite of me before, so seeing sprite
The
me
most,
running
the
around
most
is
notable sprite is Chris
incredible.
Ramo's appearance in The Legend of Big Bird's Bones, I think.
The-
We all appear in it,
Yeah,
but you're
you-
my favorite.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
so good. Thank you, everybody who worked on anything or participated or helped other people. I think that's really, really cool and just a testament to how good the community is.
Yep, for sure. It was really impressive
And how much better they are than us at making games, because Chris and I tried for a minute to make On Blade and ran out of time. So I'll save it for Wizard Jam 2016.
There you go.
Don't tell anyone that I'm going to just use the couple days worth of last year's jam next year.
Don't tell anyone on the podcast.
Yeah.
Good.
So what's up?
Did you guys see? This isn't. I don't think there's enough meat on the bone here to go into too much.
Did you see Obama at the correspondence dinner?
No. But speaking of politicians, did you see that
Go to fuck
Yanis
it, Liz.
Varoufakis, the former Valve economist who became Greece's finance minister several months ago, has now been fired?
Oh,
Wait,
no.
really?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think he was too extreme and brash for Europe.
I think the people of Greece felt fucking slighted about Skyrim mods
Yeah.
being monetized.
That's what it was.
You might have had a hand in this. You're
That's
out.
what it was.
You're out. This is not the spirit of mods. This is not what the gamers
spirit of
demand. This should be
mods.
free. This is just going to be exploiting people to make DLC on the cheap. You're out of Greece.
Olympus
Downvoted.
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 That's probably exactly what happened, I think.
Oh, my
So,
Lord.
Jake, you have feelings about this.
I
thoughts
don't
about
really
this? Yes, you
actually.
do.
I mean, I have feelings, but they're the most mixed feelings in the entire world. I mean, I really like the nation of Greece and was really hoping to see what that guy would do. Are you talking about the mods
Yes,
thing?
yes.
I actually thought you weren't for a second.
Wait, what?
Jake, you have strong feelings about the Greek debt crisis and Yanis Varoufakis' brash financial platform.
Greece is replacing it with the guy who did the eye reflections in Half-Life 2. They're just like churning through notable
They're still
Valve
mad.
luminaries.
They're still mad about that. Yeah.
I mean, this guy is conceivably one of the people who could have. I mean, this guy surely had an influence on Valve's overall approach to monetizing.
Yeah. No, I'm
economies.
sorry. I'm fixated on new Greek money, like having really nice specular highlights in real time in the eyes, and also their money flops around like that physics demo of the mattress in the pachinko machine from when Half-Life was announced.
Wow.
They're just what? Eventually, Gabe Newell will be in charge of Greece, and then
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
and then he'll just play Dota
He'll
and
become the
answer
main
Reddit AMAs about the situation of Greece.
Gabe Newell has a weird. Gabe Newell is a strange presence in video games,
Yeah.
where simultaneously Valve is this, like, much of the time they're just a total black box that just
Black box.
that does things that have huge ripples on the video game industry, especially PC games industry. That from Valve's standpoint, Valve just like implements a thing on Steam, and like suddenly it has like that's massively important for developers to pay attention to and like take into account when making games, and it matters how publishers sell their games. And then also Gabe Newell is also a guy who will just like go on Reddit and be like, we've been thinking about this. He always says like, we've thinking a lot about this. It's
Yeah.
always what he says. And then today he's just like, anyway, we just canceled this thing now because people complained about it.
Did they cancel the mod monetizing thing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Crazy.
In the
I
last,
missed
last few hours.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, I missed that part of it. I didn't know that at all.
People
It just
were-
Yeah.
it just happened.
Yeah, people were
Yeah.
making such a stink.
Wow.
A stink was made.
Yep.
Huh. Because I didn't know if I thought it was good or bad, but it was mostly down to the specifics, because I'm totally in favor of people who make a mod being able to monetize their work if they choose. I didn't like that it felt like there was going to be institutional gatekeeping on a mod marketplace that was predisposed towards pay stuff, and I didn't like the way that the payments broke down. But to me, being able to monetize work that you build on top of someone else's game feels like a thing that should be allowed to happen if a developer wants it, and Valve putting the infrastructure in was good. But I guess, the details of it were all really annoying.
Yeah. And so just also to soften the claim being made a little bit, because I'm not really sure of the full situation. As I understand it,
Also, it could be back by the time this episode comes out on Wednesday.
That's true.
yeah, based on how quickly it went away. As far as I'm aware, and anyone who knows differently, just tell me because I don't know. As far as I'm aware, Skyrim was the only game that featured this capability.
They were sort of the rollout game.
It was the
right,
pilot.
right. And so when they announced tonight or this afternoon that they were revoking this functionality, they said we're removing it from the Skyrim workshop. It was totally
the infrastructure probably still is just waiting
it was
for someone else.
Exactly. It's totally unclear whether that means like we're backing off this entirely, or I think more likely for Skyrim, which already has a large established mature mod community and a way of doing things, we're backing off in the case of this game, but we are not.
This is now super interesting because Joel Burgess, who works at Bethesda, gave a talk at GDC in the level design in a day, like day-long boot camp mini lecture series that I participated in, talked about Firewatch's level design. But his talk was about Bethesda's involvement in the mod community. And how that bleeds in and out of the DLC community and stuff, but he was talking about how Bethesda games have been moddable forever, or not for forever, but for a long-ass time now, and that's a huge reason why their games stay at the top of the charts. But then he also sort of took a side jag to talk about how, about their history with, like, on-disc DLC, their history with DLC at all, because the whipping boy for DLC was horse armor.
Yep.
But no one bats a goddamn eye at horse armor at this point. But he talked about how horse armor was the thing they because of the way that Bethesda games are built, they effectively, their data structure is effectively built like mods anyway, where there's sort of stuff glommed into a major, like a main, like,
There's
blob
a master
of data.
file and then plugins.
And you can sort of sideload plugins, so a mod can work the same way as someone who's going to check their data into the master file on the team anyway, more or less. Like
an expansion for Skyrim is essentially just a mod.
Right.
Yeah.
So he talked about how the horse armor was intended as a low impact way to sort of test using that tool chain with the Xbox 360 DLC store, way more than it was a malevolent thing, except I guess they charged too much money because they had no idea what you were supposed to charge for. And because Bethesda likes money, I'm sure. But
What?
but just, it's this case, like, the specifics of it suck and are going to make it a whipping boy forever. But at the same time, I'm sure that in 4 or 5 years, it's going to be very clear that Bethesda was way ahead of the curve on even trying to do this.
Yeah, I assume the same.
Yeah.
Like,
This feels like it's just horse armor again.
Yep. I suspect that is the case. And, like, I don't know, it's a shame because I don't know, I kind of generally agree that people should be able to charge for mods. I think that when you look at some of the most popular mods, people are putting in hundreds and hundreds of hours into these things. The argument that Bethesda made, so Bethesda came out and wrote a blog post about this and sort of laid out, their thinking. And
in defense of the model.
Not so much in defense of it as, because they just immediately said...
But that's what's funny about it. I don't know in defense of, but certainly, like, explaining the justification for it.
Sure. And to their point, the idea that... So I don't know, like, most of it was not so much a defense, but then there was the paragraph that essentially stated, look, in terms of the percentage, here's what we were thinking. We were thinking a guy makes a mod, makes millions of dollars on this mod. Our return is, X percentage. But is it fair that the people who make this game are earning, whatever, like an equal amount, or like where does that fall? Like where the developer of the game is actually, putting out, like putting in all this time. The source game, creating the editor, putting in time. Like this is stuff that Bethesda does essentially. There are obvious reasons to do it. It's a very complicated issue, like how you would actually put a percentage on that would. So my take on it is I feel like I don't know what percentage would have actually ever worked. I think what the mod community heard was you're charging for the mods that are normally free. And I don't like that, and this is going to die in the same way that the DLC issue.
Yeah, it was just, this should already be on the disc. Yeah. Why are you charging more for it? It feels like that same place is where the conversation came from, but I don't know if that's a fundamental problem with charging for mods. I think that's the specifics of how this rolled out, because it felt very much like
it was very fast.
Free mods were not even included in the conversation, I don't think.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot of information. In fact, as somebody who knows Joel and should just by osmosis know what all this stuff is, I actually don't really even know the specifics of how this works.
And I know that
I feel like that's a very Valve way to do things. Just flip the switch and see what happens.
That's what I mean about the black box thing.
They take all this PR stuff for they just whatever, the market will decide how it appraises this. But in reality, if they had taken a month to just very slowly say this is what we're gonna do and this is how it's gonna work.
Yeah, it's funny because that's like when an individual game team within Valve starts putting their toes in the water. I feel like that is kind of how it works. Like in TF or Dota or Left 4 Dead, when they're trying something weird, they go incredibly slow. Yes. Like a new map comes out that has a game mode, or now characters can have 3 items equipped to them or whatever. But if mainline Steam Incorporated, a division of Valve, does something, it's just like in your face. This is out.
Throw it out. Yeah.
The biggest bummer about the entire thing to me was that the number that kept getting thrown around that was like the damning evidence was modders get 25%, Valve gets 75%. I heard that said for 3 days.
Yep.
And that made me very annoyed. Yeah. But whatever.
That's a case where, you mean made you annoyed because it's
because
false.
it's patently false.
Yes, right. That's a case where there is very little reason for Valve to be coy about, like, there's no reason for them not to be very upfront about what that actually is, because it's modders. Like, it's gonna get out. Like, the actual split is gonna get out for sure.
It's a bummer that this was not
absolutely.
released the way that like Steam Big Picture Mode was, or a Dota event or something, where there's like a video that shows the little animated pie chart that has wacky Steam hipster cartoon characters and stuff. That's like, Valve takes their 30% like they always do, and then the developer of the mod chooses the split between the developer and the modder, because that's I think what the infrastructure actually is. So I think Bethesda said, okay, we have 70% to work with. You get 25%. We get 45%. I personally think that number is garbage, because I think one of the biggest reasons that companies are excited about fostering a mod scene at this point in the Steam economy is because mods sell copies of their game. So now I feel like that's a little bit of an overreach on the double dip when they take a bigger share of the mod sale. Yeah. Because to play the mod, you have to buy Skyrim.
Mm-hmm. Especially in Bethesda's own post about this, they said that even during this like weekend when Skyrim was free, mods were only 1% of their Steam revenue. So like, it's never going to be for a company as an organization as large as Bethesda. That revenue is never going to be massive.
Right, like
for a small
the ultimate
team,
version of this model is Valve, who gives their item makers a percent for a game that is otherwise free to play. But I mean, or you look at like the huge example is DayZ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask where that kind of falls.
If DayZ existed now, there would never be DayZ standalone, and there would also maybe never be a new Arma game because people
there probably still would be.
But it would be funded literally.
Yeah.
It would be double funded by DayZ, because everyone who...
But didn't DayZ already get charged for anyway as a mod?
When it became a standalone thing, I think it did. I don't know if it did
I
before.
thought,
maybe it did. But it wasn't probably not through Steam.
I guess it depends what you mean by standalone, because there's standalone mod and then there's also standalone like actual newly developed thing.
Sure. I mean, if it's a game on Steam that you need another game to run, I'm pretty sure that they make you do weird things for that, but I don't really know. Maybe I don't know about the underpinnings of DayZ, because when DayZ,
you can still modify a game that's not based on a Steam execute, right? I mean,
right? But I'm sorry, when DayZ itself went on Steam, I think it was when it was a standalone game. I might be totally full of shit. I might need to.
I just can't remember.
Go back, but like
the thing I was going to say earlier is that mods end up getting monetized anyway by somebody. Whether it's the person who made them originally, popular mods, like mods that really become big, end up getting monetized either because someone like weirdly acquires it in a way that's like ambiguous and difficult to define, or some established company just remakes it like Valve did with Dota.
Or the company itself goes pro, which happens less often now, but like Natural Selection is one example of that.
Splash Damage.
Yeah, and also DayZ Standalone was, I think someone...
Same story,
picked them up a little bit, but I think it was still like Dean Hall and a team of people making it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird situation. I don't know. You know, but philosophically, you could look at this one way and say that, you know, Bethesda's posts also pointed out, like, look, we looked at other models that are doing the same thing. We looked at, the sort of fan fiction thing that's going on, the Amazon, whatever they're calling it, where you can, write fan fiction, charge for, and I think they're getting like 15 to 20%. So they said that, we looked at things that are sort of along these lines, and to some extent, a lot of Skyrim mods, they are just reusing assets in the sense that like all of these things exist. It's just a reconfiguration. Right. So I can see why they got there. The
difference, though, is you don't need to buy a copy of the Vampire Diaries novel to read Vampire Diaries fan fiction.
Right. I'm not. Yeah. So, but also just on a base PR level, I just think there were some obvious missteps, and then
there definitely were,
and so I don't know. It's a weird thing. I think it's unfortunate how fast it went up, and then also how fast it went down. I feel like
I agree.
It's just a really strange.
One of the things people would have needed to see, I really strongly suspect, just based on the existence of any other open or pseudo open marketplace on the internet, people will always release stuff for free. There's always going to be people who the thrill of just like more people playing who are not professional game developers, and so therefore it's less important if they're making a significant wage off the thing, who on the curve of like how much money am I realistically going to actually make from this versus how exciting is it for just lots of people to play it? There's always going to be a lot of people who do really good work for free just because that's fun for them. Even if you look on the, like, even in places like the Unity Asset Store, which is explicitly intended for game development, that's not even like an entertainment,
right, it's just like, I made a car,
There's
check it out.
Free stuff on there.
So many people do that.
It's slightly different than a lot of people do that to sort of market their more expensive content on the Asset Store, but there is definitely among people who make things, especially at the hobbyist level, when it's not your job, a lot of the reason to do it frequently, I mean, sometimes you do it to get experience to get a job, but a lot of people, when that's not their goal, the goal is just like, I just want people to play the thing or see it or listen to it or read it.
Check out my work in whatever way. Yeah,
and there will always be people who do that. Like just the ability for people to charge for their mods is like not even remotely close to a guarantee that anywhere close to all mods will be charged for.
The bummer about all of that stuff is just that the conversation felt like, even though this was not what was said, it felt like it was like, we're mixing up the way we do mods here, is basically what the tone was, instead of we're adding a way to have mods work. Do you guys know about, you mentioned the Kindle thing, and then I mentioned Vampire Diaries specifically because that is the best example of crazy exploitation of this in the positive way, because the Vampire Diaries is, I guess, a series of vampire drama books, young adult books, but the original author who created it got removed because it's published by Alloy, which is the like bulk YA publisher that just has a million pen name writers write stuff. But when Vampire Diaries showed up in the Kindle fanfic thing, the original author just started writing Vampire Diaries books under their own name.
That's awesome.
Oh man, that's so good. Funny. So now, well, I guess you can't because the Skyrim thing is gone. But what I want is just for an army of bored and I guess affluent enough for this to make business sense, ex-Bethesda people to just make. To just go and find the big piece of height map out in the distance in Skyrim that is one of the continents from the old game and just populate it with quests and just charge $60.
I mean, you're describing something not far from the former SimCity developer who went and made
I was thinking the
City
same
Skylines
thing.
content for Patreon or via Patreon.
Yep. And I imagine that even the thought of that is something that freaks out people who don't want that to happen, who are game playing people. Like the idea of like those people being exploited by Bethesda instead of them bringing a new game or being given the reins to Skyrim. I'm sure there's some just insane... Sorry, I'm Breckening. I'm twisting an insane conspiracy out of nothing, probably. Right. But I don't know.
There will always be people who are mad or feel slighted by every decision ever made.
The yells for sort of purity... like besmirched by this was high. Anyway, whatever. Mods.
Mods. We did that one to death, probably.
Mods.
What about mods, though?
Oh, Danielle, did you probably played a game?
Played a lot of games.
Wait, do you think you can mod a Skyrim mod and then it would have another rev share on top of that?
Oh, man.
Recursive
mods all the way down.
Yes.
Recursive modding.
You buy this one thing for like $8, but then you're charged $250 because it's a like buy it and all dependencies button on Steam. Then like goes,
it's just a mod.
Oh, this hat for this character, for this quest, for this subworld of this additional mod of Skyrim, Skyrim expansion pack.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Danielle.
Mod Squad. I don't know.
It's called Mod Squad.
I was trying to make a joke. It didn't really work. I played a lot of games, though.
Modsy scheme.
Modsy scheme.
Oh my god, fuck
you. I like that one.
You shouldn't have.
I liked it.
So what'd you play?
All right. I played several games.
Okay.
Let me tell you about, I'll tell you about the smallest. Then maybe I'll tell you about a bigger one. And then maybe I'll just look at my list and tell you about a different one, too.
Maybe. We'll see.
I played a game called the Charnel House Trilogy last week. This is the small game. Tiny little indie. This was actually written by Nina White. She goes by Ashton Rays on Twitter. I think she's a former game critic, actually.
I've seen this person.
Yes. And I believe she was the writer and creative director, something like that. And this is basically like a 3-hour, pretty small little indie adventure, point-and-click adventure style game. And it's a horror story. And it kind of mashes up, like old creepy ghost story tropes with sort of millennial characters.
Does it take place in like a mausoleum or something?
Well, it takes the first chapter. It's 3 little chapters. That's where they got the trilogy thing from. It starts off in just sort of a New York City apartment. This young woman, she just broke up with somebody, and she has a creepy book There's a weird thing. She has to go to a creepy island. It's very like classic ghost story.
It's like an
kind of
adventure
stuff.
game? What is
Yeah,
this?
pure point and click adventure game.
Okay, sorry if you said that.
No, it's okay. One of the weird and interesting things about it, so it's a fun little game. I mean, it plays exactly like any other adventure game. So it's always with this sort of thing, tone and writing and quality of animation and so on and so forth. It looks like other Wadget Eye games. I don't know if you've played any of those, like Resonance.
Is this a Wadget Eye game, or is it just in the style?
Wadget Eye had, all right, someone from Wadget Eye had something to do with it. I don't think it's technically a Wadget Eye game.
I think that they've done this before. Jake, do you know, like, haven't they sort of assisted other developers?
I think they have, yeah.
But also, there's a lot of artists, at least artists who have done work with Dave and the Wadget Eye guys who are not like full-time employees, so it's very easy for this to also just be a split-off thing.
Okay.
Yeah, this absolutely looks like a
Right.
Wadget Eye game, and I know they had some involvement. I don't think they published it, but they have some involvement.
Okay.
So it's kind of that quality as well. Like it's well made, well written, it looks good, all that good stuff. The kind of fun little thing about this one is that they got a whole bunch of game journalists to actually do voice work. Like Kara Ellison is
weird.
in there,
So
Soha
they
is
just
in there.
colluded like hell.
They kind of did. I had to put like 3 disclaimers when I did a little video about this. Like, this person is a friend, that sort of thing. But it's actually kind of weird and cool. Like, who knew? Kara Ellison's awesome and was a good voice for this. Like, Jim Sterling is a character in it. It's kind of random. Weird little thing about it, but I feel like it holds up well without
That's cool.
that
That's funny.
little
weird
trick
thing.
to it, too.
Yeah.
So, I played another tiny little game called
Wait, say the name of that game.
Okay, that is the Charnel House Trilogy.
Okay.
It's on Steam and everywhere. You can find.
Can you
Fine
monetize
games.
mods for it?
Maybe. What if you can play as the ghost?
What if you could turn it into a quadrilogy?
Oh my god, I bet you could. What if you could do fan fiction for the Charnel House Trilogy and charge that as a mod in the game?
Yes.
What? Vampire Charnel House Diaries
Trilogy.
Trilogy.
My additional Charnel House mod.
Charneling it up.
2 Charnel houses.
An attachment for your
Better
charnel.
now.
Excellent!
Want to add a pool to your
Building
charnel house?
a new wing to my charnel house.
Now you can
Extra
have
bones
babies
for
at the
Charnel
Charnel
House.
House.
You earn your living. I build wings for charnel houses.
You have another mod, which is that guy.
Yeah, right.
He just hangs out, and you
Yeah.
click on him, and he has one dialogue option, which
Yeah.
is, I just build wings for a Charnel House. And he's just an adventure game
Charnel
NPC.
builder.
Yep. And you
Chills.
can yell at him.
I don't think he wants that.
I can't use this on the Charnel House, man.
Oh, I would like that guy. I played another tiny little adventure game this week, too.
Huh.
Do you want to hear about that
I
one?
do want to hear about it.
This one is called We'll Fight for Food, Super Actual Sellout, Game of the Hour.
So this is a genre, I feel, almost now,
Yeah.
given how many of these you talked about, which is like
Game of the whatever.
intentionally, overly, awkwardly named game
It sure is.
Tim and Eric style title.
Sure is.
Yeah.
It feels like it started with Barkley Shut Up and Jam.
Guidance.
Little
Gaiden.
Gaiden, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Kind of did. This one it's another little adventure game. This one is less point and click and a little more character action and dialogue heavy. There's still like an inventory and things like that, but for the most part, it's making decisions, talking to people. The premise is that you are an ex-professional wrestler, and you are kind of like it's sort of poking fun at like the Batman thing of like, oh, now you're a vigilante justice kind of dude trying to make things better in your city, but really you're kind of this loser who kind of got abused by your former corporation, like a very WWE style corporation. And
Is this also like a classical adventure game?
more or less, although it's a little more.
Looks like it's got punching in it and stuff.
It does have punching in it and stuff. There's a kind of
throw a
a,
chair?
Jake is like
There's
leaning
kind of a
back
crappy,
in his chair. and it's
he's like,
looks
"There's
like it's
punching."
got punching in it and stuff.
There's kicking and punching in this
That
one.
was really something.
It has like a very rudimentary little combat.
Looks like you
system.
can kick the shit out of some assholes in this game.
Looks like wrestling. You get to wrestle?
Some real jagoffs that I could just punch in the face.
Angry old man.
Stuff.
That's good. I'm like, more like angry old bro.
Okay.
Angry old bro. This game, I liked the writing in this game. It might not be for everybody, but it's kind of like
Was
Is
like
it
that?
absurdist at all?
it's
like
very
in the way
absurd.
of the title?
It's
Okay.
completely absurd and over the top, that sort of thing. There's a cool little mechanic in it, which is influencing people. So you actually kind of have to decide. There's like a little tree no, it's not a tree. I mean, there's a little chart basically, and you have to decide between your tone, your body language, and what you're actually saying, basically, to influence people into, sort of liking whatever decision you want them to make. I thought it was pretty cool. It's like a $4 little adventure game.
Okay.
Like, it's a very...
Is this game voice acted?
No.
It's got talking.
It's all talking and punching.
Because when you said influence people, it almost sounded like you were saying it in your Rhode Island voice, and now all I can think of is
you got to
like,
influence the people.
It's not a tree.
Yeah,
It's not really a tree.
I
It's
just imagined a guy like New England.
You got to do that.
You got to influence people if you know.
You know what I'm
Danielle,
saying,
Danielle
right?
will stream it, and she'll stream the audiobook version narrated by Danielle
I will.
Rindo.
That's true.
I will do. Actually, I can make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like a beefy dude, like
Twitch.tv/idlethumbs.
hitting his fist, like, you gotta make people do what you want them to do. You know what I'm saying? That's how you got, influence in your life. You pick it off the chart.
Jesus.
This is so many people I knew back in my
Man,
homeland.
I started playing Broken Age Part 2. I forgot that I was doing that.
Oh my
You
god!
played a game.
Wait, so
More
Danielle,
adventure
what is the
games.
name of the game you just talked about?
Okay, ready?
Yes.
We'll fight for food. Super actual sellout. Game of the hour.
All right. So Jake, you played Broken Age Part 2.
Yeah, I did. It's Broken Age Act 2.
Act 2.
Yeah, I was going to say I've just started it, and then I realized that I've played almost an hour of it. Broken Age Act 2 is long as fuck, apparently.
Yeah?
Oh, interesting.
It is, I mean, I've heard that it is at least coming up on double-digit hours of gameplay time. Getting back into Broken Age reminded me how much I really, really, really loved playing the first act of Broken Age. That was probably the most enjoyable sort of straight-up adventure game experience that I've had in years and years and years and years and years. Like, it has some weird stuff about it, but whatever. And going back to that and just going back to the insane amounts of animation and the art and stuff was really nice. Broken Age Act 2 feels like a different game in a lot of ways, though, because it feels almost more like the game I was expecting Broken Age 1 to be. Like, it feels almost more retro in how it's constructed, where Broken Age 1, it was like every screen that you walk onto, it's basically going to start with a huge close-up of a new character introduction, and it's going to have this really high close-up, high, like, cinematic feel almost, and like it felt a little bit more like telltale-y almost in that regard, I think, where just like you can't quite tell when you're inside of a cinematic and when you're not, except when you're solving some of the more sort of, it has, Broken Age has a couple blobs of really heavy puzzling, but Broken Age Act 2, I started with Vela. I didn't start with Shay. In just like Broken Age 1, the game starts with a split screen and you pick whether or not you're going to play the boy or the girl's story, and you can jump between. So I played about an hour of Vela, and it was just immediately like, you're in an old-ass adventure game now. I'm sorry. Whatever you thought you were doing before, it's now real, where like the camera is just pulled way back and you're just in these huge scrolling sets. There's not as many close-ups, which I miss, but at the same time, it's partly because the puzzle structure is just like, Vela's opening is basically just like the Melonweed segment from Full Throttle, where including a weird twist on having to climb up a chain and do something weird with it. But it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of things about the first act of Broken Age that I am really already missing, just because every new screen in that game was just being bombarded by the weirdest stuff that it seems like Tim Schafer and the Double Fine team could come up with. Whereas this is now like, it seems like it's just about simmering inside of that and solving puzzles for hours. So that's probably what a lot of people who backed the Kickstarter want. It's not entirely what I want, but it's still like, it's heavy grade Tim Schafer dialogue and adventure game puzzles and that same beautiful art. So I'm obviously in it. And also my girlfriend really likes watching it and telling me what to do sometimes. So we're playing through it together. But
That's such a good way to play adventure games sometimes.
It really is.
It's a little daunting that there's like 8 more hours. And I don't feel like I've made that much progress into the story, even in the hour that I put in. But whatever. Broken Age Part 2.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey.
You guys want to take a break?
Yeah.
And then I will talk about playing the PC version of GTA 5 for like not very long.
Oh, well, I do want to hear a
20
bit
minutes
more.
myself, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, this will be a really hilariously on par discussion. All right,
I've been
let's take a break.
streaming it with Patricia, so.
Okay.
GTA 5?
Yeah.
Sweet. We'll be right back after we tell you about Mother's Day.
Video game.
Speaking of moms,
This episode was brought to you by ProFlowers, which I assume is professional flowers.
Not just like prorated.
Full-time.
Yeah, no amateur flower makers monetizing their wares. ProFlowers only. None of these mods.
These are the most professional of flowers. I can confirm this because we have a vase of ProFlowers here in the office.
ProFlowers has been a sponsor a few times over the last over some sort of romantic or family member themed holiday times.
Yes.
ProFlowers will let us know that they care about us at Idle Thumbs by sending us a beautiful bouquet of flowers.
So nice of them.
And you can do the same to your
mom or any of the mothers
to your mom
in your
or
life.
a mom in your life or family or whatever.
Give a treat to a mom you know. If you go to proflowers.com, you can click that microphone, type in thumbs, and you will see the special offers that are available. For example, you can get 100 blooms with a free glass vase for just $19.99.
Holy
with
crap.
that code thumbs. I know. Is that outrageous or
That's
what?
like a bloom per cent.
Wow, we're just gonna stock up.
Yeah, I know. Stockpile them.
Almost.
I mean, they're flowers and they're alive, so I don't know if stockpiling will work that well. But if you know a lot of moms, this is
roll the dice.
time.
See how long they
You
go.
could-
You could spend $200 and make someone's life insane.
They could live in a house of flowers.
Yes. No, it's true. You could get them 1,000 blooms. You know what you could do, Nick? This is actually a thing that I did probably for my mom when I was a kid. I certainly remember doing this.
I got her 10,000 blooms.
Pressing flowers. Did you guys ever do that?
Yeah,
where you
I
would,
did that. I did that. Yeah.
So if you really just like can't get enough of this deal, and you're just like, I got to do something with these hundreds of blooms that are so affordable,
You just press them.
you can press them and they'll last longer.
One in every
right.
page of a book.
I mean, that's not like the recommended use case
Like
for
a novella,
ProFlowers because they're
right.
beautiful and they're alive.
Right.
Yeah, keep
But
them alive
Then, like
first.
30
Yeah.
years later,
Yeah.
I can have a moment with a significant other after
Exactly.
we've had many, shared experiences.
And
So
drinks.
take all of this seriously. Go to proflowers.com, click that microphone, offer code thumbs, see what you got. It's great for a mom or for anyone who loves flowers.
What else does a mom love?
I mean, some moms may very well love the treats provided by Sherri's Berries, also sponsoring today's podcast. We love Sherri's Berries. We have been sponsored by Sherri's Berries before, and all of us today, before recording this podcast, ate a big-ass chocolate-covered strawberry, each encrusted with nuts or
Chocolate chips, white chocolate.
all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yes, Sherri's Berries are big, delicious, high-quality strawberries dipped in chocolate. They are the best.
They ship to you in a like refrigerated package so that it doesn't melt. It comes like fresh and like chilled. Mm-hmm. Just as you should be when visiting your mom on Mother's Day.
Chilled out.
Yep. If you go to berries.com, click that microphone, put in the offer code thumbs, you can see the special offers available. That includes these big, giant dip strawberries for just $19.99. That's 40% off what they would normally be with the offer code thumbs. It's berries.com, berries.com.
So think about that 1-2 deal for your mom or a mom in your life. Just think about how happy.
ProFlowers and the Sherri's
Yeah,
Berries.
think about that wombo combo. Mambo.
Mambo combo.
Mambo combo.
Think about that mambo combo that you could just execute right now, and how lazy you could be, but how successful a child or loved one. Think about it.
It's true. It's true.
It's all true.
That is berries.com, berries.com. Click that microphone. It is offer code thumbs. You love it. They're delicious. Video game. Are we
Now
back?
you want to talk about another thing moms love? Grand Theft Auto!
Yeah.
God, okay. Speaking of that, speaking of seeing this from the perspective of a mom, I feel like I saw this game from a mom's perspective when playing it. Okay, actually, you know what?
It's that new mom
What is
perspective
this?
mode.
This is sick.
Well,
That's just not
okay,
appropriate.
first of all, before I talk about my experience with this game, how did this game start, Nick? Could you just, like, factually tell me how this game
This is
starts?
like the weird flashback
right.
with the robbery in the meat locker or whatever.
Does it start with the robbery?
It starts with the robbery.
Like, cold open
It starts
robbery?
with heat.
Yeah, it's a total cold open.
Yeah, it's a cold open.
Isn't it? Or is there a bit first where you're a guy walking
is there
around?
like a credit sequence or anything before that?
No, you're
Okay,
right there with a gun.
Okay, that's what I
robbing
thought.
some guys.
That's what I thought. Okay.
punching,
That's what
punching, talking.
It's cinematic.
No, it was fine.
It's like a movie.
No, I'm totally fine with that. I'm not mocking it. I just thought maybe I missed a cutscene or something.
It felt like I did when I played it.
Yeah. It's fine. It's just those guys
because the
usually have
credits
so
weren't
much
in first
cutscene.
person. No, I don't.
So in that case, I didn't miss anything, so I can just talk about my experience with it. As soon as I had control in the game, which was immediately, I went right into first person mode and I never left it. Because
Are the cutscenes in first person mode? There's no way.
No.
Okay, they're still
not.
those are
not.
yeah.
But I just wanted to experience. I haven't played any GTA 5 before. I played like a mission from the middle of GTA 5 when it came out at an event or something. But I mean, that's it. That's all I've played. But it's a GTA game. It's not surprising in how it plays for the most part. There's the character switching stuff, which is cool. But like the feeling of playing Grand Theft Auto is the same. But what was funny about it, playing it in first person, is that even though they obviously had to add a lot of work and create a lot of new assets and do a bunch of design work in order to make the game work in first person, it's still just inevitably, it's a couple years old at this point. Two, stuff in first person just needs to be higher detail than stuff in third person because you're closer to everything. It's just how it is. And so this game is not at the same level of graphical detail that a, high fidelity modern first person shooter would be. And so there's a very specific feeling that I got being in first person playing this game, which also...
Man, it's got to just look like the way a video game looks when a character on a TV show plays a video game that they made for the
That's
TV
exactly
show.
what it feels like.
Okay, the thing that it felt like to me was just playing a game from like 1 or 2 generations ago.
Okay.
Which was also which is kind of those things have definitely overlap on the Venn diagram. Those two experiences.
On that Star Wars character, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The feeling of part of the other reason it felt for me like playing a kind of somewhat dated game is because you're dropped into this scenario that's just. I mean, again, this is not surprising. It being Grand Theft Auto, but.
Hold on, Chris. Actually, before we get too far into this, can I ask you a couple questions really quick? What video card are you using? What level of anisotropic filtering do you have on? Do you have VSync? Because we got it's a PC game, so maybe it's your fault.
It's probably mainly my fault.
Maybe it's your problem that it looks old, and maybe the game is the best it's ever looked.
Ever think about that? Probably true. It's probably.
Did you have
true.
an experience at least 60 frames a second consistently?
I thought you were going to ask if I experienced it the way it's meant to be played.
Did you experience it the way it's meant to be played? Did you notice
really,
a thing at the
high.
beginning that told you that you were playing it the way it's meant to be played? Well, that plays whether or not you are because they paid for that.
Anyway, so one of the other reasons that I had this
trilinear
sensation
filtering
while playing the game, I'm just going to ignore you, was because the thing you're doing in the beginning is just marching through corridors and then like going outdoors and hiding behind cars and just murdering all the cops, just like killing all the police officers. And in a way that is like, feels almost anachronistic now. I mean, it's not, because there are still games that are like that, obviously. But to me, it feels like, especially combined with just what it looks like, taking a third person game and being in first person. And it was just, I almost kind of felt like a mom watching it being played, or I'm just like, is this just what you do in this game? You just march from like cover point to cover point, just shooting cops really easily? Because there's nothing hard about it. Like, you're just, it's not as though...
I wonder if that's easier in first person, because I am so bad at shooting in GTA, even though it has auto aim.
Yeah, maybe that could be the case. I don't know, but there's definitely it's not like playing a...
Because in PC, it's more about precision and like sort of mastery.
My God.
Mastery with the master race, right?
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Oh, the Batman.
The Batman of
like
games.
if you're making a first-person shooter these days, generally there's some like, I don't know, either it's incredibly directed, like a Call of Duty game, and it's this like really focused Michael Bay experience, or it's got some like crazy cover system, or it's got powers, or it's got like weird guns or something. Like there's like something. But this is just like, you have a gun and you shoot cops and you point it at them and they die, and you just go through the mission like cover point to cover point to cover point, just shooting cops until they die. And there's not really any like sense of tension or
it's a tutorial.
Yeah, I know it's a tutorial, but the tutorial is like, here's how to do this. Kill 1 million cops. It just felt like a really weird way to start. You know, like
usually it's GTA tutorial. I mean,
it's not petty crime.
The end of Scarface,
right?
But it's like succeed
that's
perfectly,
how they pitched it, Chris.
and it's the very first thing in the game.
I'm sure that was deliberate in the structure of this game because GTA 4 opens with just drive your friend across town and then go to your shitty apartment.
Yeah,
so GTA 5 is like the last big heist they did before it slows down at the beginning of the real game.
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
right?
man, that intro of
how
GTA 4 is so awesome. I
know.
Rewatched that again after playing this part of GTA 5. Because
to make sure that you weren't insane.
No, because I was just talking to Sarah about it. I'm just like, oh yeah, they're really good at like, you know, putting text over the screen in a stylish way and like using music really well and you know, doing like they're just one of the things. Like, there's things in GTA that are not done super well, but there are some things that are done really, really, really well, and that's one of them. And the usage of music and like partially, I wanted to show her because like Sarah's lived in Russia for a year and like speaks Russian, and so they, you know, they're Serbian, I guess.
I think they are, yeah.
And they listen to like a Russian pop song in the car, and I'm like, oh, that would be a fun thing. And it was so fun to just like watch. It's like such a cool, like well put together intro, and I was just so much less taken by this just like cold open, just kind of march through killing cops.
Cinematic direction in that whole sequence was very odd.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is a pointless thing to pick apart. I don't even know why I'm doing so, because I'm sure the game is like really cool and has a lot of cool stuff. But I don't know. But it was just an odd experience. It was just not what I expected when I sat down and like downloaded it from Steam and opened it up. I just felt differently about it than I kind of thought I was going to.
I have been streaming it a bit with my girlfriend, who is much better than I am at almost all games, but she's a particularly horrifically bad driver in games. Like, she will be constantly just driving into traffic.
Driving in first person is weird. It's
super weird, isn't it, in this game?
Yeah.
It was funny, though, and I will just relay this very quick little story, I guess. She was playing it last night. We were streaming it till late last night, and apparently she kept the game on for like 12 hours or more.
Oh, it was running that cat betting in the background the whole time.
Yeah, that's what was going on. Because I turned the PS4 on again today to play more Bloodborne, which I've been playing a ton of, but we've already talked that to death and rebirth and back and so on and so forth. When I turned the game on, we found out that like Grand Theft Auto 5 had been running for 16 hours or whatever it was.
Your character had aged
12 hours.
Well, it was super weird because I put it on and the camera, it was in first person mode, but the camera was just sort of like going to wherever I think Franklin is the first character, wherever his eyes would be going. So it's on the Santa Monica Pier, or whatever's supposed to be the Santa Monica Pier, and he's just like checking out all the women around him. So the camera of the game,
first person idol.
It is.
God, that's really good.
The third person cameras, I think,
amazing.
in recent GTA games, if you leave them for long enough, they'll just try and find a nice looking shot.
Man.
Like, I know the Brutal Legend camera did that as well, which I thought was really cool. It would always try to compose like a sick album cover. But so it's good that if you leave GTA characters alone, they'll just start checking out ladies.
They check out the women, basically, and it's the pier, so there's all these women walking around in bathing suits. And it wasn't super gross. Like, this didn't take me back, like, oh, this is a sexist piece of shit. There are sexist, shitty things in this game.
You're playing as a sleazebag. Like,
right.
Yeah.
There are shitty things. I'm actually more upset in this game about, like, the transphobic jokes and stuff like that. But, like, in this context, he's just kind of, like, looking at the girls on the beach. And I actually was so amused by this. I was just like, well, I guess that is what he would do. Like, he wasn't, like, ogling them and being like, hey, baby. It was just like, oh, good looking girl. And like would turn the head kind of and like follow her and then kind of go back to like looking around a little bit and then would find like the next good looking girl. And I was kind of like, I could watch this for an hour. This is just kind of fascinating how it's like this little world simulation, but it's also like checking out girls on the beach.
Man, someone put that into the game after like a day of work. Or like,
probably.
Like 3 hours after hours if they had the system already in and was just like, guys, check it out. Check this shit out. No, hold on. Wait.
There she is.
Okay, there it goes.
Girl in the red dress. Yeah, basically.
I mean, or the sad reality that was in a feature list from the design department and production was hounding this guy for months and like someone quit over it. Like that's the other. that's the other.
The sad side. Yes.
The other. That feature went in one of two ways: reluctantly and with much pain, or someone was inspired in the middle of the night and made an awesome thing.
Yeah.
I kind of dug this little weird feature.
No, that's great. One thing I have to point out about my experience with this game, because I know I am the shitty fucking lord of not playing enough of a game before I talk about it. So I'm sorry. The reason that happened is because I finally found like one night where I'm like, okay, this is the night I can play a video game. And the night before I had to download overnight, so that because it was like 50 gigabytes or 65 gigabytes or something, like holy shit. And I loaded up and I played it, and I like played through the mission, and I'm like, okay, like whatever. It's kind of weird. I think it's not the most exciting mission ever, but like I'm excited to play this game. And then the power went out in my apartment because we like tripped a fuse.
Oh man,
yeah, because we have old San Francisco wiring from
your
1900.
apartment couldn't handle the
your PC.
Zero.
It must be pretty cool if it was drawing that much power.
Oh my god.
What kind of PSU you got in there? You're not plugged into a UPS. No battery backup? Interesting.
No, it's true. I'm not at home.
I have 3 redundant battery backups. I have one for each display.
Anyway.
good stuff.
Yeah.
I have played
One for
another
the heater
game,
on my
but
toilet seat.
Oh yeah.
What?
On your Japanese toilet
Yeah,
seat?
my Japanese toilet seat.
Is that also your chair?
Yeah, I live in a Quake 3 ad, like all true gamers do.
I live in a Quake 3.
But I have since updated it to have a Japanese heated and spraying toilet seat.
Oh, perfect.
Clearly, I'm a grown man. It was getting gross.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
I don't have time to
I don't
wipe.
have time to clean the underside of my body. But I'm
Press a
immersed
button.
in a first-person
do now.
world. Huh?
You do now. You got all the time in the world to do that.
I do?
I mean, it's just happening all the time, it sounds like.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Correct. I've also played Mortal Kombat X, but I think I'll save that for next week, perhaps.
Cool.
If we want to go to reader mail.
Sure.
Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah.
All right, let's
It's a hell of a game.
let's talk about that next week.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
You can talk about how many like necks get ripped out.
Yeah.
Try to go on Usenet and find all the cheat moves to Mortal Kombat X, including ones that don't exist, and then try to convince us that they're in the game, like I did to
I
someone
just
in
might.
junior high.
And then I'll show you GIF proof of all of them that I made myself.
Oh, wow,
Because I'm
okay.
a talented artisan.
That sounds good to me.
I'm a Mortal Kombat artisan. Cartisan. Kill me now.
All right. So Tom Simonson writes,
Fatality.
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 Friendship.
Hi, Thumbs. I'm writing with respect to your discussion of Drop 7 and its Numb 3 Years related origin story. Yes. I've seen every episode of Numbers, don't judge me, including the show that featured Drop 7, known on the show as Chain Factor. Your discussion made the episode sound much more interesting than I remembered it to be. A quick trip to Netflix explained why. Chain Factor is mentioned on the show but has less than a minute of screen time. It was clumsily wedged in to allow for the marketing tie-in. This is a shame, because the episode would have been much better with Chain Factor at its center. The fictional game that dominated the episode was called Primacy, and it was clearly crafted to be recognizable to anyone who has ever played more than 15 minutes of an RPG. Extrapolating from the game footage in the TV show, Primacy had World of Warcraft-style avatars, combat mechanics on the level of Double Dragon 2, and it took place in an environment that appears to be lifted from Grand Theft Auto. The game had the benefit of producing a lot of gamer babble that needed to be translated into English throughout the episode. When asked what Primacy is, one of the players actually says, "It's a PVPMMORPG with an integrated ARG."
Oh my god.
So they were playing the GTA 5 PC port.
That's what they were.
I don't have a point to make about this. I just thought it would fit in nicely with the video game esoterica I've come to expect from Idle Thumbs. Love the cast, Tom Simonson. This reminds me of that episode of like fucking, I don't know, CSI or something. I have no idea what show it was. Life, maybe. I remember it was called Life, about the person who plays Prince of Persia and like unlocks
Oh god, I
the
remember
code
that.
inside of it. And it's, did you guys see
I
this?
definitely saw that. Yeah,
This is like
What?
like they've hidden the secret to the murder inside of this video game. I can't remember what the hell the premise
What's the
was.
clue?
It doesn't matter.
Islam is the light. Wow, what?
Oh my god!
Or whatever that. Fuck you.
Islam is the light. Do you remember that well enough to explain what you're referencing?
No, I don't at all. I remember there was that and there was that
There's
bootleg. There was that
Imagine
and there was
Babies, also an Ubisoft game, I think.
yeah,
Oh,
but there
God,
was,
that's
there was
right.
also that bootleg game that someone bought that said "fuck you" at the beginning of it. They were really mad at
The
taking it to the
Islam is the
store.
light one is my favorite though, because it's
Yeah.
so outrageous. There was an Imagine Babies game where a baby makes just like a baby goo goo sound, but like someone got it into their head that it was saying Islam is the light, and
The murderer left a clue. You are Mr. Gay. If we connect all the stars on the Mario Galaxy box art, just bought my kid this Wii.
So the thing that happened in this Prince of Persia thing on this show was that someone had to like play Prince of Persia, and they filmed it with like the way they do, right? Where the camera's going in and out and cutting constantly, and everyone's like sweating and biting their nails, and they played just like Middle Eastern music, scoring the whole episode on top of this. And finally, like the person playing the game gets to just like the end of the level or something, and they added like level complete text on top of the game that pops out and is like level achieved or whatever.
And of course he was making shitty jokes the whole time too.
Yeah,
like, he cracks his knuckles. He's like, I'm a nerd.
I think it was a woman.
Well, on that show, okay, I know a little too much about this because...
What was the name of the show then?
Oh, God, I think it was Life. It was Sarah Shahi, who's the actress who plays, like, the main cop in that show. And the only reason I knew about this is because I worked at a lesbian entertainment website for, like, 9 years. And any actress who had ever been in the L Word was, like, put on the site. And she was a big star in the L Word. So, like, her new show, Life, has this scene in it. So I had to watch it many times. But yeah, it's like she's the main cop, but I think they have a male coworker who's their quote like nerd expert who played the game, but she had to look up the like the text or the secrets or whatever it was that it meant, but they got their nerd to like come up from the lab or whatever to play it was so ridiculous. Yep.
Anyway, they beat the game, and the world in the game like slides open to reveal like code behind
the secret code really of the killer. Yeah,
incredible.
Awesome.
That's so amazing.
Bad. Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, this guy wrote an email about
Drop 7.
Chain Factor and Drop 7. Yeah, I'm not surprised that what they did was just have it be.
Yeah, no, I'm sure on Designer Notes podcast when Frank Lyons told the story, it was more skewed towards the contents that was in the ARG and not in the episode and stuff.
Nico Dio writes, Dear Idle Thumbs, I was surprised to hear how confused everyone was during Danielle's Splatoon discussion last week. Splatoon is a game I've been keeping up on for a while now.
Splatoon?
Since it was shown at E3. Mostly because I'm a returning Nintendo player, and it seemed like there would finally be a competitive multiplayer game fun for me to play. I'm not a competitive person by choice, and I've avoided PvP or FPS types games for a while because they often get way too violent or too stressful with the amount of trash talk and need for skill. Both single-player and multiplayer Splatoon looks really cute and fun and seems to be Nintendo's entrance into getting kids into a competitive game for the first time. The ink mechanics, using your colors to effectively block their team's progression, adds boost to your team. Seems really fun, and yes, some of it is reminiscent of Jet Grind Radio. It also boasts a pretty good character creation set that includes quite a few skin tones as well as cute squid colors to add to your head tentacles. What really hooked me is that playing the game allows you to spend points, I believe, on a shop where you can upgrade your cute clothes that provide both a fashion and also a playstyle advantage, whether you're a player who wants to do support and help out your teammates or someone who wants to do awesome damage. With things like Splatoon, Overwatch, and the like coming out, I feel like there are finally more easy-to-learn and fun multiplayer games geared towards a less masculine and violent audience, and that's less masculine or violent audience, and that makes me happy. If you have any other suggestions for readers who are scared of multiplayer PvP games like I am, I'll be glad to hear them. Keep up the good work, and as always, great show. Apple Cider from the forums.
Oh, Apple Cider. She's awesome. She has a podcast that's really good, too.
Oh, yeah, the Justice Points podcast.
Justice Points podcast. Yeah, I really, really like Splatoon, and I think it's pretty great for all the reasons in that email and that I said last week. I'm trying to think of good... I personally almost never get into PvP. Like, shooters, I got super into Bioshock 2, and I think it's about the only shooter I've ever played online competitively.
If you want a competitive Nintendo game...
Wow, what an interesting game to get into competitively.
I know,
wait, hold on,
right?
wait. I just listened over... It's like, oh yeah, Bioshock, that's a video game. Oh, you can play that on the... What?
Yeah, no, I got super into it at the time. I mean, in 2010.
It was made by a different developer. It was made by...
Vicarious Visions,
No, it was made by Digital Extremes.
Yeah, there you go.
Those guys.
Why did I think it was Vicarious
Because Vicarious Visions and Digital Extreme are interchangeable names for extreme, like, early 90s sounding. Nintendo, I don't know if... when you're talking about multiplayer competitive Nintendo games, you're only talking about online. But if you want a good multiplayer Nintendo game that is not about beating each other up, please play a Pikmin game.
Hell
The
yes.
multiplayer in Pikmin 2 is especially great, but I've heard from many people that the multiplayer in Pikmin 3 is good too, especially if you don't know what you're missing out on in Pikmin 2's multiplayer.
This is true.
And I hope that last week our response to Splatoon was not sounding like it was... I think the surprise was that it was a first-party Nintendo game,
Sure.
especially for its aesthetic reasons, but also mechanical, because I just don't think of Nintendo making this sort of stuff except in Smash Brothers. Like, I don't think of Nintendo making head-to-head multiplayer stuff, obviously, except the Pikmin multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's super... I mean, well, Smash, obviously, but that's its
usually-
own weird universe.
Usually
you know?
the most multiplayer you think of is either Mario Kart or, more recently, Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Princess Peach all bouncing off each other's heads in New Super Mario Brothers, and you don't think of, like...
Shooters.
Multi-mechanic arena, like, competitive anything coming out of Nintendo, and especially it having its own completely unique aesthetic to itself, because Nintendo really likes their house style, with the exception, like we started talking about, of like Pikmin or Chibi Robo, or just like
Animal Crossing,
the weird outliers. Even Animal Crossing kind of blends in with a lot of their other stuff more than.
It does also because they threw all the little Mario paint elements.
I just mean
too.
if Mario and Princess Peach showed up in Animal Crossing and you took all the character art out, you could see that it feels one step away, the way that like Yoshi's like Epic Yarn or something
cute in
does.
that way, yeah.
Whereas like, I mean, there's a lot of their stuff is cute, but like it's I don't know. It's just Splatoon is just so different looking.
Splatoon is cute in a totally different
Nintendo.
way. It's totally true.
But I'm excited that it exists. I'm glad that it exists. I want Nintendo to just make more things that are different.
I mean, this is
But our games. I want them to make more things that are different in our games.
This probably sounds like a
not
cheesy,
weird hardware.
Not weird hardware. A cheesy cop-out, but Splatoon isn't necessarily the kind of game that explains all that well. I know this sounds like great radio, and like I'm giving myself such a pass for probably not explaining it super well, but it really is sort of something that seeing it really does help with the whole flavor of what's going on there, because saying like, oh, it's sort of a squad-based shooter with a lot of weird traversal stuff doesn't, you know, that what the hell does that mean? But like seeing it and kind of getting your hands on it, it feels good. Cool. It just feels good.
All right.
Oh, also we were chided repeatedly for not calling it squid-based multiplayer.
That's right.
True, yeah.
So sorry, everyone.
There's so many little cute puns in the game itself.
All right.
It's called Splatoon.
So an anonymous reader writes,
Fuck you.
fairly recently, within the last month, TF2 economy has actually crashed or undergone drastic upheaval. Earbuds are no longer the gold standard of currency, and prices have dropped heavily. Formal currency is now only accepted in metal, keys, or real dollars. So then he links to 2 Steam guides. He says, this Steam guide that was published before the crash details most of the factors that caused the crash. And this guide serves as a counter-argument that only Buds crashed and that the market will stabilize.
Only Buds crashed.
Oh, no.
Keys have risen in price heavily. Originally, they were priced at $255 refined metal for 1 key, but over the 5 years or so, they've risen to the current price of 17 refined metal for 1 key. This is not because the value of keys have risen, but because the price of refined metal has been continuously decreasing. Refined metal can be obtained simply by playing the game, so the amount of metal in circulation is constantly increasing. Since keys are tethered to an in-store price of $2.49, they serve as a tethered currency. Buds, although limited in number, are not tethered to a fixed price and fluctuate with the price of keys. When keys rose in value, buds fell in value. At their highest, they were worth 28 keys, currently 5.5. When buds started falling in value to a large extent, people started panic selling and cashing out. The panic to sell quickly before buds were no longer worth their current value caused bud prices to fall even faster.
As the year 2015.
As unusual hats were traditionally measured in buds, this caused the value of unusual hats to also fall up to 50%. As unusual traders and hat barons are acutely aware of the real-world value of their hats, they effectively avoided losing most of the real-world value by changing their asking price to keys. This instability in pricing caused the largest TF2 trading site to officially stop listing prices in buds. As of the present, the economy, while not as strong as before, has become relatively stable. Buds are out and keys are in.
Oh.
This is one of the most amazing emails.
Headline.
Yes.
Every email that we ever get.
Loki. Yeah. That's a classic economic slogan.
Every email that we ever get about the TF2 economy and the Valve economy is insane.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I imagine the reason that the economy spiraled is because that guy left to go to Greece.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's why they had to force him out. They're like, look what happened when
You've ruined the game.
We have to stabilize the TF2
We need to
economy.
prepare for this key
Get this
shortage.
guy out of here.
He came to Greece with 3 container ships full of earbuds. Then they realized what that meant in the long term. Because he was like, look at this bud-based economy that I've been running over here. And now they're like, buds have crashed.
That's how he was getting.
Bring in the keys guy. We should have hired the keys guy.
We're the unusual hat brokers.
The unusual hat baron.
It's just a Dr. Seuss
Hopefully
book.
this guy, hopefully
really
Greece's
is.
finance minister, the new one, is the unusual hat baron. By which I mean Johnny Depp is the new finance
Yes,
minister. of
yes, he
Greece.
is. Well, he needs a new job, so
No, he's in that movie where he wears weird contacts and a bald cap now.
another one.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
He looks like he's acting in that one a little bit, though.
Oh, really?
But he's got weird eyes and that weird
Oh,
head.
Johnny.
This is the last email. It's short. Did you? This person. This is Jerry Salinas who writes, "Hi Thumbs. Please enjoy
Jerry.
this robot that is worn as a backpack and feeds you tomatoes while you're running."
What?
Have you guys seen this?
No!
Feeds you tomatoes while you're running?
Yeah, I've seen this. This is a robot that that here, Nick, watch this. This is a robot that you wear on a backpack, and it like has an arm that takes a tomato and puts it in your mouth, and you eat the tomato as you run.
Hold on, let me see this tomato bot.
You gotta see that.
I haven't. Okay, I'm going to see it in a
some
second.
robots are more malicious than others.
I just have to say, as a runner, a tomato is not where I go.
No.
That being said, it never stops.
Yeah.
it's just
It never stops. And eventually, it's just a racquetball that's stuffed in your mouth. And then its hand stays there forcibly.
Why did they pick a tomato?
Why is the robot itself a giant tomato?
He's a tomato. He's saying, "Eat parts of me. Eat me while you run."
My children.
Oh my god! I saw this thing about a spider, a female spider.
Oh
that
my
when
God,
she,
yeah.
Oh my
like,
god.
the stepping thing.
No, not that. This is way grosser than that. So this is this is a spider. I said robot, which is terrifying that I thought this. This is a
Same
spider
shit.
that when she gives birth, her children all eat her together.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like a spider
She
move.
gives herself up to be consumed by her children, and they eat everything except for her heart.
Ew, no.
Yeah.
Why don't they eat the heart?
Oh.
This is what I need to know.
That's where the soul is, Danielle.
Oh, so they don't eat her soul,
They just
Yeah.
eat all the bones.
but they eat her eyes.
They definitely
And the
eat
bones.
they eat the bones first.
Yeah.
Wait, do spiders have bones?
On the outside. It's,
Yeah.
They
right?
have an exoskeleton.
Yeah, they've got those.
Yeah.
Right?
those-
Probably, well, otherwise they don't have bones. Otherwise they're just a blob.
They don't have no. Any
They're a
structure.
blob after the
I mean, I
fucking
don't.
kids
do
get
they
done
have a
with them.
skeleton?
Yeah, it's
is
true.
Is it really a skeleton, or is it like a chitinous shell? I don't
On that
know.
note, send your
maybe.
mom some
Maybe.
chocolate.
I don't know.
Send your mom some berries and
Yeah.
flowers.
Your
Don't
mom-
eat your mom.
Your mom
berries.
would sacrifice a lot for
Yeah.
you. Probably not that much, but still, get her some flowers and some chocolates.
That's right. Moms deserve the best. Go, mom. I love you, mom.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Mom.
You can find our website at idlethumbs.net/idlethumbs because we're idiots.
That's right.
Rate us on iTunes.
Watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/idlethumbs, where I'll actually be streaming
Where
more often.
You'll play that weird wrestling game. and
probably will.
narrate it.
Also, really do
Narrate
check out
it.
Wizard Jam. Go
Yeah.
to itch.io/jam/wizard-jam and
Yes.
enjoy that. Or just search in Google for Wizard Jam, Idle Thumbs, Game Jam, itch.io, and it'll take you there.
Hooray! Thanks,
Wizard
everybody.
Jam. Check out Wizard Jam. Go to itch.io/jam/wizard-jam /jam/wizard-jam/jam/wizard-jam wizard jam/wizard-jam jam/wizard-jam wizard jam wizard jam and enjoy that. Or just search in Google for Wizard Jam, Idle Thumbs, Game Jam, itch.io, Game Jam, Wizard Jam, Idle Thumbs, itch.io, Wizard Jam, itch.io, Wizard Jam, Idle Thumbs, Game Jam, Idle Thumbs, Game Jam, Wizard Jam, itch.io, and it'll take you there.